Unite podcast with Bids and Monty.
And what an intro that was. Wow. Welcome. And we've just spoke with CJ Beats, who suffers with bipolar, and he shared with us his experiences, and it does get deep. And we love it. It really does. Quite a touching episode, man. Real touching. But before we get into it, head over to our main sponsor, Man-Made Beard Company, making the beards look good. Oh. So the link's in the description. Pody 10 to get your discount. And I tell you what, now I've been using it now for over 2 weeks, and the shape and the growth is beautiful.
And the smoothness.
Yeah, silky smooth. And also, we have got something dropping big tomorrow. Monty, what is it, my brother?
Champion Mindset Clothing, a brand that's going to represent you all. Also, with every purchase that everyone makes, 5% of that is going to go towards mental health charities. There will be a lot of giveaways, such as part of a profit, the percentage will be given away by a winner, a lucky person that would want to donate to a charity of their choice as well.
Oh, wow. Yes, boy. Let's do this.
Let's go. Support it. Time, share. We love you all.
Yes, we do, because we've got a YouTube giveaway happening next week on next week's episode. So make sure you are subscribed. Don't be hidden, because once you hit that subscription button, YouTube hides you from us. So go to your settings. Yeah, so go
see you.
We won't. So go to your settings. Make sure you're not hidden, and you'll be in for the draw next week.
Good luck.
Good luck indeed. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and drop us a comment in the video. We'd love to hear from you. We love you, you beautiful humans. So today we've got CJ from Canada. Brother, how's it going? Enjoying the coffee?
Not too bad, dude, now that I got my coffee.
Yeah, we had a bit of time zone mix up, didn't we?
Yeah, I thought it was the next hour. I'm sorry about that, guys. But I got my coffee. It's Sunday morning. I'm good now. Hopefully I'll be awake by the end of this. So
we might see you just like nodding off back sleep halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Like, CJ, wake up, bro.
Hey.
Knock. Hey, man.
Right, man. So I follow you on Instagram. I've followed quite a bit of what you've done. And the reason why I've invited you onto the podcast is because I find it quite inspiring what you're doing.
Oh, really? Thank you.
Yeah, man. So your website is CJ Beats Bipolar.
That's correct. Yeah, cjbeatsbipolar.ca is the website. Yeah. And I have CJ Beats Bipolar is also all of my social media handles as well. So
have you beaten bipolar?
Oh no. The CJ Beats Bipolar is a play on the fact that I play drums, so I make beats.
There you go.
Oh.
As well, it is documenting basically the ongoing struggle, I guess, to beat and control my bipolar. Sadly, it's a condition that I don't think ever really can be beaten.
Yeah.
Sadly, in my experience, it almost evolves with the medications I'm on, so it's always a constant back and forth between my doctors and my bipolar as to what's going to control it at any given time. So it's not beats bipolar, but it's my struggle to try and beat bipolar, I guess, is how that works.
Yeah, and for the viewers and the listeners, what is bipolar?
I only speak on my experiences, and so I have bipolar 2. And so basically what that is that I can have depressive episodes and I can have manic episodes, and I
Yeah.
can have multiples of them throughout the year. It's called bipolar 2 is like rapid cycling. And so a lot of what happens is I'll go into a depressive episode for a bit, and then I'll come back to what I call level, and then my chemical imbalance will go out and I'll go manic. And when I go manic, I just almost have no control over myself, excuse me. So it's as I've become aware, I and my wife also can see when I go manic, and we kind of control it through awareness. But yeah, my manic episodes have definitely become more controllable in the last 3 or 4 years since I became super aware of them.
Yeah. So in a manic episode, explain to us what would happen in that kind of mind frame?
It's kind of it's euphoric. You feel like you're invincible and bulletproof. My big thing was I would spend without realizing the consequence of it.
Yeah.
Go spend a whole bunch of money. I was drinking a lot when I was manic. And so we've got both of those things under control now, and it's been a huge help. So a lot of what I was, and it's a trait of people with bipolar is the spending thing, really.
See, spending some dollars.
Lots of dollars, yes.
Spending the mola, baby.
Yeah, spending money you don't have is the issue.
So, wow, and then that's going obviously cause issues between your wife, I would imagine.
Yeah, well that was before I really knew my wife, but it was a lot of I've been in a lot of debt problems. I've actually been very lucky. I've been very lucky. I actually work with a financial firm now, and so they've been able to help me quite a bit with those debt problems. But yeah, that was a big concern I had for a while, was debt problems because of spending money with my bipolar. So
spending the money was obviously a bit like a release for you.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. It was, very much, it was a release. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And you work in quite a manly environment, right?
Yeah, traditionally I've been a crane operator in the oil and gas industry here in Alberta, Canada for the last 15 years.
Wow.
And so I've been lucky enough to run some of the biggest pieces of equipment in the industry. The biggest crane I've ever ran was 800 ton.
Woo!
So
wow.
So yeah, so it's been a very rewarding career, but it's also a very, very masculine mindset industry. So
yeah, every time I drive past a crane, and do you know the cranes like you get like where the cab's like dead eye up in the air?
Oh, tower cranes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love being up there for the views.
The views are what I've seen pretty cool. I run mobile cranes, so we're closer to the ground. We're the guys that go in there and build those.
Yeah.
But I don't like heights, so I
man.
don't know if I could do that one. But I've been up there one time to help put one together, and yeah, you can see it's beautiful what you can see. So
I don't think I'll be able to embrace the views,
Why?
If I'm on one of them things, nah, man, I'll be holding, my whole body will be so tense. I'll be.
Yeah, I was lucky enough. The one that I was up when we were putting it together, we have a really beautiful river valley here in Edmonton, and I could see the whole river valley from up there, and it was unbelievable.
Wow. Say one false move or one wrong move or hitting that wrong button when you've got something on that crane.
Yeah, what will be the consequences?
Well, it's a very responsible position. If say I'm lifting something that's worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, as soon as that thing goes on the hook, I'm responsible for it. And then I'm also responsible for whatever the guy on the other end, if something goes wrong and, he gets hurt, that's on me. And so it's a very, very responsible job, and you build trust with your coworkers very quickly.
Yeah.
So how do you stay sort of relaxed? After what sort of techniques do you do to know that everything that's happening in front of you is your responsibility? How do you manage to stay relaxed in that situation?
It's just, honestly, I've been doing it for so long that it's a reflex action. It's natural to me, right? But I specialize in a thing called steel erection, which is building the metal frames of buildings and stuff. And so it's a very rapid fire, as fast as the steel can go up, you basically get it there. And
Yeah,
so
them things go up so fast.
yeah, oh yeah. They I think the most I did in a day was 140 something pieces. And so that's so that's 140 back and forth from where they keep the steel on the ground to where it goes into the building. And so while I'm doing that, I find calming qualities in heavy music, like metal music and things like that.
Same here.
So I either usually have metal, like heavy music, or like classical music going on the whole time that I'm doing that, and it just kind of gets me in the zone.
Yeah.
Focus, mind.
Focus. Yeah, music is a really big, has a lot of therapeutic qualities for me, and so you'll find throughout our conversation that a lot of it will come back to, when you're asking me what my coping strategies are, a lot of it comes back to music.
So with my strategies, mine's music as well, and like, I'm into like your really heavy screamy stuff, and my wife's like, how can that music calm you down? It does.
It does. It's funny because I also, when I used to play a lot of sports when I was a kid, and I would also use that music to get me riled up and on fire.
Works
but
both ways.
it also is very, very calming.
I'm the opposite, you know.
Go on,
I like more chilled music. So like, obviously, I play football myself, CJ, and all games I listen to quite relaxing music, which then allows me to sort of also think on what's in front of me, to like visualize. I don't
visualize the game, right?
Yeah. So I visualize sort of like the game and certain outcomes. But when I have upbeat songs and sort of louder music, my whole focus is actually on the music rather than what I'm supposed to be doing. I never tend to listen to upbeat songs and things like that, because he's sort of takes my focus away.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting to note that, for how that is different for people, because a lot of I feel like nowadays with personal music devices, it's a lot different than it was 10 or 15 years ago when I was playing sports, where you had a stereo that the whole team listened to, right? Whereas now everybody's got their phone and their headphones, and they can kind of go into their own world and get themselves in their own zone, right?
Yes. And with working in such a masculine environment, suffering with bipolar, how tough was that? Because could you openly talk to your co-workers about how you were feeling that day?
Honestly, for a long time I didn't.
It
was actually through an event at work that I got diagnosed with bipolar. I had been going through a breakup with a partner that I had at the time.
Yeah.
And I was in the crane and just crying all day and not paying attention to the people I was working with.
Wow.
And I didn't have that trust that I just talked about. And so they kind of called in my supervision and were like, okay, well, we don't feel comfortable working with this guy right now.
Oh.
Can we not work with him? And they kind of had noticed a trend my employers had. So they were like, we don't feel like, we feel like something's up. I was lucky enough that I had been with the company long term at the time. So they were like, you need to go figure out what's going on with you, and you can come back when you're done. And so that's when I went into an outpatient program at one of the hospitals here in Edmonton and got diagnosed with my bipolar and started on my journey to recovery. So
did this guy that said they didn't feel comfortable working with you, did they know what you was experiencing, what you was going through, or it was just based on your actions and how you were sort of carrying yourself around the place?
It was just based on my actions and how I was carrying myself. It was it's very much a mentality here that you kind of separate work and what's going on in your personal life and power through with you go to work, you get up every morning, you go to work, because that's what men do. And so especially that was 13 years ago now. It was a very different working environment then. You didn't talk about your emotions and you didn't let them bother you for fear of not having your job and for fear of being judged by those coworkers. So
you must have had some really dark days.
Lots of dark days. It's the thing about being a crane operator, especially here in the province that I live and work in, is that you spend a lot of time by yourself.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of days sitting in that machine with your thoughts. And then also here in the province, all of our work is very remote. So you're 4 or 5 hours away from your home and your family, and you're fighting with, some of the camps have up to 3,000 people in them. So you're fighting with 3,000 people for a Wi-Fi signal, and you live in a camp room, which is basically, if you can picture, about 12 feet long, about 8 feet wide, and you have a bed and a closet and a sink and a TV and a little desk. And that's where you live for up to 24 days at a time before you get to go home. So.
Wow. I bet being stuck in that environment itself would have just healed some real dark thoughts.
Oh, absolutely it does. And it does, not just for me, but it's a very hard place for a lot of people to work.
Yeah. And with bipolar, the depression side, was there any kind of days where suicide was on your mind? Or
absolutely, I've had suicidal thoughts. I've been hospitalized twice for it, one of them while I was up working in the oil sands here in Alberta.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's not the best situation, but again, it's one of those things where the mentality has always been man up and go do it, because you have a family to feed. So
did a lot of, when you had them thoughts and you felt suicidal, obviously you was going through and experiencing obviously your bipolar and that, but a lot of that, was it due to the pressure of not being able to tell someone what you was going through, and you maybe have felt embarrassed, or correct me if I'm wrong, and the fear of being judged, you felt alone?
absolutely.
Did that then led to you feeling suicidal, and maybe you was alone and you didn't feel worth being in this world for a reason?
Yeah, absolutely. The isolation was definitely a huge part of it. And like I said, it's starting to change now, a very masculine, don't talk about your feelings, leave them at home, come to work and do your job situation. And so it was very much isolation and loneliness and not being able to talk to people about what was going through my mind. And that's actually part of why I do what I do with CJ Beats Bipolar now, is to give men that safe outlet of someone to talk to on the job site when I'm working with them.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's it is gradually starting to become a big thing now.
It really is. The way we talk in the industry is in 20-year cycles. So it takes 1 year for something to become a policy by the time it goes through all of the company and becomes a policy. It takes 5 years for it to reach the field, basically. And then 10 years for it to implement itself, and 20 years for it to become a culture. And so the last 20 years has been on physical health and safety. So a lot of training in like fall protection, so that people wear a harness so they don't fall, and learning about the chemicals that you're working around and things like that. And so that's been the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Growing that into a culture in the industry. And now we're on probably year 3 or 4 of the focus on mental health. And so we have a long way to go.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, we do.
yeah, there's a long way to go, but you can see that steady kind of journey starting to gather quite a bit of pace. I know.
Yeah, things are starting to change, which is very, very encouraging to see. So
Yeah, I know, because there's a lot of work happening over in the UK. I know over in Canada, there's a lot of work happening with mental health, and I've got family and friends over in the States. They said they can see it starting to pick up a bit of pace as well. So it is good to see, because
it's really good to see.
Because with obviously so many people struggling,
absolutely.
I've found that a lot of my friends who I didn't think were struggling at all have started now opening up and saying like that they've struggled with this for X amount of years, and I've been like, whoa, like you wouldn't know, 'Cause it's like, it's just hidden. It's well hidden. Mental health is well hidden. Well, poor mental health is well hidden. And obviously, I say poor mental health is because if someone asks me, or I ask someone, what is mental health to you? They'll start saying, like dark suicidal thoughts and stuff like that. When really, mental health, you've got good mental health, or which is happy. Like, I'm happy. That's good mental health. Or bad mental health, yeah, that's your dark, depressive days.
Yeah.
It's finding that balance. Because when I was in my like dark days, I could never find that balance and find the good days, because you're stuck.
Yeah.
I was stuck. Like, I'd be just stuck in the same mindset, and it'd be repeat. And I think that's when, if you don't click on that something's wrong with you, that's when you could potentially commit suicide. And I think that's why people do it, because they're in that circle, man. They've got to break that circle. But I don't know about you, CJ, but when I was in that circle, I knew what to do, but I was scared of making that first step, which was going to therapy. I was afraid, and the reason why I was afraid is because I didn't want my mates finding out, or my family finding out, because I'd be embarrassed, or I'd feel weak. Like, how was the first step for you, CJ? Was it good? Bad?
It was all right. First, I want to touch on one thing that you said there. You said the words commit suicide.
Yeah.
We are trying to change that phrase to died by suicide, because it's a lot more respectful.
Yeah.
If you think of it as like you get committed to a jail sentence.
Yeah.
Right. And so by using the phrase committed suicide, it's kind of a disrespectful way to do it. So we say like died by suicide.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I get that point. That's a good point, man. Because you say committed, like you say, like you've committed a crime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There you go. We've learned something new, Monty.
That we learn every day. We've been saying it since we started. Every day we learn something new. And I want to add, obviously, to what you guys are saying, is sometimes it's the wording that we tend to use, the language that we use, that scares people from actually speaking a lot of the time. So, and I think we touched on this before a bit, where the word mental health, right? People immediately would assume that you are crazy just because you've got that mental in front of health. And there's something that we could rephrase, reword, something that could be used differently. It could be something like emotional health, or even mind health, something different. I think it would give people that are genuinely struggling or going through any type of obstacle in their life within their mind, it will give them like the freedom to speak and actually confront their demons to an extent, because I'll find it easy if I go to one of you and I said, I'm struggling with my emotional health, rather than I'm struggling with my mental health, because a lot of the times you're getting judged straight away for what do you mean you're struggling with your mental health? What's wrong with you? But obviously now in this day and age, like things are starting to pick up and a lot of people understand it more. But if you use different words, different language to address mental health, I think people might find it easy to talk about it. I don't know, that's my opinion.
No, that's I can absolutely see what you're saying there, in that there's a stigma around the words mental health. You know, you say, like you say, people take the worst connotation when you say mental health, and so you go to, oh yeah, that's, you know, people that are committed to mental hospitals, right? Like mental institutions. Sadly, historically, the word mental has definitely been given a very negative connotation.
Yeah.
And so it's very much I like that, changing your wording, and it's very awareness of, you know, what, like you spoke about it before, Bids, is just being aware is the first step. And so if you're aware of how you feel, or you're aware of of your language, it can make a big difference as to how people perceive what you're saying or what you're going through.
Yeah. And also like being aware of your triggers as well. That's helped me. Like things that might trigger my mood to change a bit. Being aware of them is like
Absolutely
massively helped me.
I think that's a massive thing there. Be awareness and the trigger. If you're aware, you would understand what triggers it. But then it's also accepting that there is something wrong and it needs addressing.
Absolutely.
They've said, and I think that's the only way someone gets helped. It comes from within first. You have to admit
Absolutely.
something wrong.
Absolutely. With mental health especially, you can't force someone into help. I play in a band called Form 10, and what a Form 10 is here in Canada is when someone turns down help from a paramedic responder for a mental health issue to go to the hospital, and the police have to become involved. And sadly, as much as that person's going to go to help because they don't want the help, they are probably not going to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
I think with mental health especially, it needs to come from within, like you said, where you need to make that decision that I'm aware of this. It's not good. I need to find a way to better it.
Yeah. And say I did a podcast earlier. I went on someone else's podcast earlier, and I spoke about how important it is to get that early intervention, because it's like people like us my age who have gone through that kind of traditional stigma years of you do not speak about your emotions, you know, you're a man up, blah blah blah, fucking no, we don't say that no more. If that, like, it's now my children know about mental health. If they're having a bad day, if they're gone in a bit of a stroppy mood because they can't watch YouTube or whatever it is, that's okay. It's okay to feel a bit angry or a bit sad. That's the first thing I think a lot of parents need to they need to understand and adjust to the idea. Like telling your kids stop being angry or stop being sad over something is completely the wrong thing to do. And we're on about it earlier about how important that intervention is. Like you've had that intervention with work, CJ.
Absolutely.
They saw something and knew that they thought wasn't right. So that's massive, like massive. The intervention is massive.
Oh, absolutely. You know, talking about children, you know, my children are the same thing. Their mother and I both have diagnosed mental health conditions, and so it's very, very normal conversation in our house.
Yeah.
You know, our 12-year-old and our 10-year-old, you know, when they need to see a therapist, it's not a problem to get them to a therapist. You go to a doctor to see take care of your body, and you go to a therapist or a psychiatrist to take care of your mind. And that's just the way we're raising them. And, you know, when they get upset, you know, you acknowledge those emotions, you say, you validate those emotions, and then you address the emotions at the cause. You know, what is making you feel this way, as opposed to just, oh, you're not allowed to have that emotion. And what a lot of the people that I talk to are finding is, because especially with the phrases like man up and be a man and things like that, is that we're raising our male children to turn the emotion of sadness into the emotion of anger.
Yeah.
And that's why grown men get so angry all the time. And that's how I am. I'm aware of it now, so I try to be better, but that's how I am. Is it, you know, when I get sad, or when I get upset about something that should be a sadness emotion, I find it manifests itself as anger. And that's just because that's how I was raised, and I don't want to raise my kids that way.
Yeah. But I think it's when we're sad and we actually try to even talk about it, like how we're being raised or what we're being told in the past, that sadness, like you just said, comes out as anger in a tone, and then people all of a sudden become defensive rather than try to understand. That's how I feel.
Absolutely.
And then I found from sharing my experiences helps me, like, because if my experience can prevent someone from harming themselves, then that's like the best thing to happen to me, because helping people for me is my kind of therapy. It's my kind of medication, if you want to put it that way, because with the Men Unite group, we've got over 14,000 men in there openly talking about how low they're feeling, and we prevented many suicides from happening. And I don't know about you, CJ, because you now share your experiences. Do you go around to like different companies to do this, or do people book you to come?
Yeah, I'm starting. That's my ultimate goal, is to do that. And I have started. I've spoke to. I'm kind of at the high school level right now. I'm speaking to a lot of school kids, sports teams, things like that. But my ultimate goal is to get into the industry that has brought me up, and to share my story with them, because I'm someone that they can relate to. I'm another tradesman. I'm not some guy coming in off the street with, as much as I don't like to say this, a college degree that they look at and they're like, oh, that guy's, you know, he's educated. He doesn't know the real world.
Yeah.
I'm someone they can relate to, and someone that's been through the same situations as them. And so I've started on the path to building that. Sadly, right now with COVID, a lot of that work is not happening here in Alberta. So the opportunities aren't being afforded to me that normally I feel there would. But luckily through Zoom and things like that, I've been able to reach, you know, I'm speaking to you guys right now. You guys are in the UK and I'm in Canada, and I've been able to reach organizations that way. And so it's been a start. You know, like I say, I have the website and stuff now that I've only recently started that to get my name out there. And every time I do another piece of media, I share it on the website. And, you know, it's starting to, I can see it snowballing now, where it started small and I can see it growing. And that's an amazing thing to me. So.
And that's CJ Beats Bipolar.ca.
That's correct. Yes.
I think it's so important to, first of all, obviously, like we're talking about acceptance and acknowledging and awareness, and it's so good to then find the courage to tell your story without worrying about the judgment. Obviously, you've been through it where you was feared, you were scared, and worried about what people were going to say, but you overcame that, and now you're using your experience to actually inspire others, and to let others as well know that, especially with what we do in a podcast, and the podcast is that you're not alone. We all have some form of struggles, mental health, emotional health problems that we have to deal with on a day-to-day lives. And I find it so encouraging and amazing that you're using your story to inspire others.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's amazing. You know what? Yeah, that question, it goes back to like I did something yesterday, last night, where I was in this app and we were talking about, the title was basically Through Pain We Grow. A person basically asked me about my story, and he said he's had a tough upbringing and how he finds it hard to speak to companies that have tried to require his services to give talks and encourage others through his story. And he said he couldn't do it, even though he slept in it, he couldn't do it due to the fact that he felt embarrassed by his past and what he's been through. And then he asked me how I managed to overcome that. And I said to him, the only way I managed to overcome that embarrassment bit and scared bit was by accepting what I've lived and what I've been through, and take accountability for my past actions. Because in life, as humans, we're always in control of what actually happens, but we always tend to blame the circumstances that made us feel the way that we felt. And we're not in control of the circumstances. What we're in control of is our thoughts, the way we feel, the way we act, which then leads to results. And I said to him, you have to forget about the circumstances. No, as painful as they might have been, but at the end of the day, you're in control of your life. And for you to be able to tell your story, to inspire others, you have to accept the fact that you gave the circumstances too much power.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, maybe it starts to control you. So if you don't take control of your life or whatever's going around you ends up controlling you, which then it starts creating illusions in your head. And then it starts feeding fear rather than feeding faith and belief. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot.
And then he was like, yeah, even though I've said all them things, it's not about what I said to him. Because at the end of the day, I'm a circumstance to him. But I'm just saying something. I'm just sharing my story or my experiences. But then it's down to him to then take what he can from what I've said or ignore what I've said. It's about him accepting what I've said or what he's going through, and then moving forward to be able to sort of like be motivated by your past. Because your past is your past. You don't, tomorrow's a new day. And a fresh blank page. You write your story.
Exactly. I like that. And actually, the finance firm that I'm actually training with right now to get out of the trades industry, one of the big phrases that we use there is you can only control your attitude and your activity. And so your attitude is how you view the situation and how you know how it processes in your head, and then the activity is what you do with that. And that's absolutely, your past is your past. You have to accept responsibility for it, obviously, but it's behind you. And so you need to move ahead, and you need to take have an attitude of gratitude that's gonna change, you know, your future. And you need to take activities that are serving you and to serve your future. And so I like what you said there.
Thank you. I think it's a way of how as humans we need to start seeing things. And I've only learned this through my own personal life coach that I've got myself. And I do a lot of talks with him, and then he taught me that. Because a lot of times I was sort of like saying, I feel like this because Bid said this. I feel like that because CJ done that. But you're doing this, I'm all the way down here. You're feeling a type of way. Why should I feel the way you're feeling? My feelings are my own feelings. And then the moment I give power to how you're feeling and what you're saying, then all of a sudden I start thinking all sort of things. I become like, you can get yourself in a dark place.
Oh, absolutely.
You're creating all these pictures in your head and imagining a lot of things that ain't even real. Because I'm in my room. Why should I be feeling or like giving your words the power to dictate how I carry on in my day?
Absolutely. And that's the only thing about that I'm going to kind of touch on is that sometimes when people are at that negative place and they are going through something, you do have to acknowledge. You don't have to necessarily have to give their feelings validation and power, but you have to acknowledge that what they're going through in order to be able to help them through what they're going through.
Yeah.
So
Spot on, man.
Yeah, and with everything that you've obviously created with the CJ Beats Bipolar.
Yes. Sorry, I write notes, so I'm writing a few notes here. So I'm just looking down because that don't give power to other people's feelings was a really good point, and so I wrote that down.
He taught us something. We've just taught him something new as well. See, hey, we're here to empower one another.
Can't you put a copyright on that?
No, I want to use that. Don't copyright it.
The file a lawsuit against him, mate.
Oh. That'd cross into international jurisdiction, man. That'd get expensive real quick.
Yeah, it really could. It really could. Yeah, with CJ Beats Bipolar, what vision have you got? How far do you want to go with this? Is it something that you want to do full time?
I want to do it to complement. I want to get out of the trades, and I want to do my financial career, and I also want to complement it with CJ Beats Bipolar. And so, essentially, what it is right now is that in my province, if I were to lose a finger, let's say at work,
yeah,
the government would give me basically pay to retrain me to go to college and get a degree so I could go back to work doing something different. Whereas because my condition is mental, and I've come to the point of awareness where I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to function in the industry that I've been in.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, the condition evolves. So because I'm aware of that, and because I know I need to retrain, the government, because they can't see that I haven't lost a finger, I haven't been physically affected, there's no subsidies to retrain people. And so ultimately I want CJ Beats Bipolar to become an organization, I guess a charity that has the power to provide grants to people that are in situations where they need to retrain mentally, or due to mental health, into a different industry, and to provide them that financial assistance to get to where they need to be. Because if they stay where they're at, their mental condition is only going to decline. And so until the government realizes and validates mental conditions as a way, or as a genuine way to need retraining in industries, I need to be that backup.
Yeah, I think with like governments and stuff, with doing stuff like that, I think it'd be a really big thing to do, good thing to do, of course. But then you would get them dickheads that just take the piss, wouldn't you? You get people playing on their mental health to get that free training.
Exactly.
It's like cut your finger off. No one's going to cut their own finger off to get free training.
No way.
Well, I've heard stories of people that have, I heard a story of a guy that worked on the railroad that put his hand on the rail to do that. And
no way.
Oh yeah, but it's a story. I don't know how true it is, but I've heard the stories, right? And so sadly, no matter what, there's going to be that one bad apple that spoils the whole bunch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. But going back to the finger thing, right?
Forget the finger thing, man. Oh, I'm
That,
joking. Go on.
that would be a badass game, that would. Right. Who can keep the finger on the track for the longest? Right. No one do that. No one do
pennies
that.
on the tracks to get flattened, and that was cool. But the finger thing, not so much.
Yeah.
We do, however, when we're kids here, when the windows on like school buses and stuff get frosty,
Yeah.
we do have competitions. How long who can keep their fingers on the frost the longest.
That's not too bad.
Well, you got to remember it gets to like minus 40 Celsius here. So
That is bad, man.
What?
That is bad.
Last week it was minus 40 Celsius here. So
minus 40.
Minus 40.
Jesus. Yeah, but whoever's listening or watching this, don't do that.
Don't do that.
We were only having a laugh about putting your finger on a track.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, don't.
Exactly.
Don't do that. Absolutely not.
Obviously, with what you said and even what Bid said as well, 2 good points in regards of it's bad how you have to have something visible, like a physical damage, to be helped.
Yeah.
Rather than if it's like we said, mental health or mind or emotional, you just sort of, to an extent, you get dismissed. Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. But then also, say like something like that was to be put in place, but they'd said it as well, there'll be a lot of people out there that will try and take advantage because it's not visible.
Yeah.
And
how do you go about that? And it's something that I believe and I think should be done better. If you have got a problem, obviously there's got to be some form of way that you can get around it to actually find out that you are struggling mentally, and because you can't handle being in that same industry, or you can't handle working around them type of people, and you're made for something else and you want an opportunity elsewhere. And I think something should be in place so you can get the help that you need in regards to progress to the next level of your own life and your own peace and happiness. Not, you need to cut your finger off so we can help you progress. That's mad.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the double-edged sword, is that you know, people do need that, and unfortunately there are the people that are going to take advantage of it. So it would need to be really heavily vetted. There would have to be a whole process to find, to get that approval. And so that's something that, building the CJ Beats Bipolar Foundation, there will be people who are going to have to work to get the money. They're not just going to be like, oh, I need the money. So it's still, it's very much right now a concept, but there's processes in place already and thoughts in place as to how it's going to work. So
it will work, man. So if you've got idea, you've got a plan, got faith, it will work. You've got your purpose there. Absolutely. And purpose is everything. Man, you've got a good plan there. You just gotta have the faith to follow it through.
Absolutely.
Yes, mate. And also, I want to thank you for coming on, with obviously you being over in Canada, time differences and all.
Yes, sir.
What time is it over there?
I don't know if you heard my clock singing there, but it's 10 o'clock in the morning here. So so it's not bad. I thought that our interview was at 10 instead of 9, and so that's kind of why I was a little bit late getting
no interview. Our talk was at 10.
Our talk was at 10. Sorry.
Yeah, we don't do interviews. So that's the thing.
No interviews, man.
No.
Having a chat, homie.
Absolutely. So this was awesome.
So if anyone wants to find you, where would they go?
Obviously my website is going to be the best way because it'll give you links to everything I'm on. I'm on Instagram at CJ Beats Bipolar. I'm on Facebook at CJ Beats Bipolar. I've started TikTok, I've started YouTube, but both of those medias are daunting to me. I guess I don't understand them.
Yeah.
So I do understand YouTube. It's just a lot of work to do YouTube. So, but yeah, TikTok blows my mind. I don't understand it at all. So
Yeah, I'm not on TikTok.
Yeah.
No. I'm surprised you're not on TikTok, Monty.
Nah, man, I can't deal with them things, man.
No, mate, that's not for me.
Think about that stage now where I find those. I can't even really use my phones properly, mate.
That's it. Yeah, you didn't know you had bad spam last week, did you?
Ah, there you go, mate. I don't even know it's like my. I think since I had my kids, man, all my focus before it was my phone. Oh, new phone's coming out. Oh, I'm gonna try and get it. Let me save some money so I can buy that or a new contract.
Yeah.
Now, because I had kids, nah, man, just spend too much time changing nappies, and then I forgot about what's new.
well, my kids are old enough that they know what's new and they want the PlayStation 5. And I'm like, dude, that's like $600. I can't do that right now. Like, but
nah, stick to the old school.
Exactly. Well, I let my kid take the PlayStation 4 in his room the other day and I didn't see him for 2 days. So
Oh
I was
no.
like, okay, that's coming back to the living room now. So, but
Yeah, man. So honestly, appreciate your time. Keep us updated with the progress of CJ Beats.
will do. I appreciate you guys having me on and, the chance to speak to the UK. I really appreciate that. So
Yeah, the UK, I love you, mate.
We love you. And for those who have managed to watch the whole video, I suggest you actually go to his website. His story is inspiring, and how open and raw it comes across, but it's what you need to read to understand if you're going through anything in your life.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
Just thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And also, have a good day, you beautiful people.
We love you. We love you.
Appreciate you guys.
Men Unite podcast with Bids and Monty.